Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the HVAC Mergers and Acquisition podcast. On this podcast, we're talking about preparing your HVAC business to sell, acquiring HVAC companies, and merging HVAC companies. And today we're going to talk about a question that comes up a lot of times, and that is whether you should focus on commercial or residential, right? And there's benefits to both. There's obvious benefits to both. And some companies ask, is it better to have 50-50, 50% of my sales being commercial, other 50% being residential? And based on conversations with investors that are acquiring HVAC companies around the country, the best scenario is to be focused in one or the other, right? So you want to have 90% one or 90% the other, because a lot of times it's different buyers. You may have a commercial HVAC company buyer is most likely looking to take your company and add it to their portfolio that they already have. Or there's all kinds of buyers out there, right? There's large buyers, there's small buyers, there's strategic buyers, there's private equity groups. There's a lot of buyers out there, but on average, typically it takes a different skill set for a commercial than it does residential, depending on what type of commercial you're doing. Obviously, light commercial, you may have some of the same units that you'd have in residential, but typically it's a different type of client, right? It's a different sales process, a lot of different things involved there. So you want to be focused. You want to have 90% one or the other. If not, you'll have a difficult time selling unless you're just a very large company, right? And usually if you're a very large company, you're already focused in one or the other. If you are a very large company and you have HVAC, commercial and residential, it might make sense to break out, have a separate LLC for the residential and a separate LLC for the commercial. And then you could sell both, basically two companies, right? And benefit from that, because a lot of times if you're doing 50-50, it's going to be a hard time. You're going to have a harder time to sell your business. Not to say there's not a buyer out there, but you want to have the buyer pool as large as possible, right? As interested as possible. Because if you have that level of demand, you can demand a higher price and better terms for your business. So hopefully you found that helpful, and stay tuned for the next episode.